Diary, hello. It's the middle of February 2022 and this is a reasonably positive review of the Maxvac Medi 8 air purification device which you see in front of you. Now all things are controlled from this remote control or the touch panel in front. I'm going to be using the remote control, so we'll power it on. I'll just first of all go through some of its functions and then we'll just go into the filtration and the more of the specs. So this is a approximately £1,000 device, so it's perhaps a little bit more expensive than you might expect for a domestic setting. It's got a number of speeds, so I'll go through the different speeds so you can see what they sound like. So here we go with the speeds. That's speed number 1, 2, 3, 4, back to 1. Now, you see the 010, which is the air quality index it's measuring. Based on that measurement, it will automatically set the speed. So if your air quality is between 1 and 50, it's going to set the speed to 1. But of course you can override that, as I've just shown you. Now, if you press the sleep button, you might think that it's off, but actually the fan inside is rotating quite slowly. So it's not actually off, and they advertise this as having a 5-speed capability. So it's 4 normal speeds and 1 sleep speed. Okay, let's put the guy back on again. The next thing to notice is you've got a UV light, and you can switch that on or off. Again, we're going to be seeing that inside of the device in a second. That's switching it off, that's switching it on. And that's really all there is. This is the remote control which controls all of those functions. Now, a minor criticism is that in 2022 I was expecting a Wi-Fi connection and the ability to control all these functions via an app on my smartphone. I don't have that, and that's a major problem for me, because what we would ideally like to do, for example, is switch this on, let's say, in the lounge during our cheap electricity period, which is in the middle of the night. There's no way to do that. There is a way to have a timer, which is a switch off timer. So with a switch off timer, you can say 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10, 12, and then it's back to off. So you can leave it on with the timer going, and then it will switch off after a number of hours. But that isn't exactly what we want. So I think Maxvac, a point for improvement would be to have an additional Wi-Fi connection and a smart app control. By the way, Maxvac is a Swiss company based in Zurich, my old homeland, so I'm kind of a bit of a fan already. Okay, so let's switch the device off, and we're going to see inside the device and see how it operates. So, the device has got a front and a back, and they are identical. If you press these 2 buttons here, you'll see that the cover comes off. Then you've got a filter which is easily removable, and then you'll see that at the bottom you've got the UV light. So there's the 3-part filter, and the UV light is down there. Now, this filter is just one unit that you buy, and if you go to the website for accessories, you'll notice they sell 2 filters at once. It is actually very easy to put this in. I'm messing up a little bit on my demonstration. Yeah, there you go. It's pretty easy to put it back in. So on the back you've got an identical setup with an identical filter and UV light. So obviously you need to buy 2 filters and 2 UV lights to replace what's in there. The filters, they recommend that you replace them on a 1 yearly basis, and the UV light after 8,000 hours. Now, in doing my Googling and research on this device, I came across a few different terms which weren't immediately obvious to me. So let's get the device round here. Let's switch it back on to make reference to this. So first of all, you'll notice that it says PM 2.5. So the idea is that in the industry, apparently there's different standards. There's a PM10, which means 10 microns, or it's a PM 2.5. So this device is trying to catch particles of 2.5 microns or smaller, and that's why it's called a PM2.5 device. And for reference, the hair from your head would be about 50 microns. And the idea is that the reason it's important to catch these smaller particles is that your body will deal with particles bigger than PM2.5, i.e. bigger than 2.5 microns. And so your body is defenseless against these smaller particles, and the idea is that's why you need to catch them. In our particular case, we are now living next to a building site, and we have a lovely cat, and so we thought the combination of those reasons we would investigate and invest in a suitable purification device. Going into more of the technicalities of this device, it's got a 3-stage filter. So that filter that I showed you is a cassette device. It's got 3 components. It's got a pre-filter, which is designed to filter out 5 micron and larger particles. So that's the first part of the filter. The second thing is a Hepa 13 filter. Now, as you'll see in the accompanying Wordpress article, the Hepa standard's got different numbers, and those numbers indicate the size of particles that it's supposed to filter out. So according to my research, the Hepa 13 should be taking 99.995% of particles from 0.01 microns or larger. So that's an incredibly comprehensive reduction. And lastly, in the cassette is a third part of the filter, which is a carbon odor filter. So to tell you again, you've got a 3-part filter, a pre-filter which takes out the large greater than 5 micron particles, the Hepa 13 filter, and the carbon odor filter. Other things to know, which is that this device has got a recommended room size match between 40 and 160 meters cubed. And our tiny house, that would mean to say that this one device could do the whole house if it was just one large room. In terms of volumes of filtration in meters cubed per minute, this device will filter between 2 and 13 meters cubed per minute. And I've measured the power consumption. Again, this is shown in the Wordpress article. We're measuring between 40 and 130 watts of power consumption. So that's all the technical details. Again, this is a approximately £1,000 device. It's got a PM2.5 rating. It's got a pair of Hepa 13 cassette filters and a pair of UV lights. And in the Wordpress article, I did find some academic research where they tested the bigger brother of this, the Medi 10, which has got the same technology as this in every way, in a COVID ward. And the idea is that they did a 3-week test, and when they had this unit switched on, or the Medi 10 unit switched on, they significantly had a reduction in the COVID-19 airborne particulate matter. So the argument goes that if you want to filter out COVID, then these air purifiers are a must. And for us, we have a building site next door, so again, maybe it's also a must for a different reason. Okay, Dari, thanks for watching.